Hello students, before we start our chapter, I would like to request you all to watch our introductory 2 videos given by me so that you will be clear about the 3-step strategy to do Dhamaka in physics exams. We have given the videos in the description box, or you can just click on our videos displayed at the end of this video for either introductory 2 videos or the next videos. Okay then, let's enjoy physics by Mr. Patel, who has a long, profound experience of 29 years of teaching physics in Sainik School, Balachandra.
Chapter 6, Electromagnetic Induction. The magnetic flux phi is given by equation, that is B dot A, the definition of flux. The magnetic flux through any surface is the total number of magnetic lines of force passing through the surface normally, that is at right angle. Correct? If this is the surface and the magnetic lines of force is like this stick, they are passing normally, that is a number of lines of forces passing through it normally, is called the flux phi. It is a scalar quantity and symbol is phi b, b for magnetic field and phi for flux. For electric field we use the phi e. If a uniform magnetic field B passes normally through a plane surface area A, the surface area of this is say A of this, correct? And magnetic flux passing through it, say phi B, is given by the magnetic field strength, that is intensity of the magnetic field B into A, BA, if it is normally. If it is at some angle, this is the area vector of the surface area, correct? And magnetic field is in this direction. So magnetic field B makes an angle theta with the area vector A, then flux is given by B cos A, that is component of the B along over the A, that is the B cos theta. You can take normal, this draw this right angle, so this component will be B cos theta in the direction of A. So the B flux phi B is given by B cos theta into A, that is B A cos theta. Mathematically it is expressed as phi B is equal to B dot A, that is if angle is 0, flux is maximum, that is cos 0, that is both are in the same direction, flux is maximum and is B A. If it is at 90 degree, then flux is 0, cos 90. Suppose this is the line, magnetic line of force, and normal is the area vector normal is at right angle to this, that is the angle between the B and the normal, that is 90 degree. So if plane of this coil or the surface is parallel to the magnetic field, then area vector will make 90 degree with the B and flux will be 0, cos 90 is 0. If the magnetic field is non-uniform, suppose magnetic field is non-uniform, here magnetic field is non-uniform given this figure, correct? Here magnetic field is stronger, you can see here magnetic lines of force, they are quite apart, here they are very close. So field is stronger here is weaker, here is weakest, like that. Then the flux is given, calculated by the different areas. That if magnetic field is non-uniform, that has different magnitudes and the direction at various parts of a surface, then the magnetic flux through a surface is given by the equation phi B is equal to integration of this, the summation of this B1 dA of this area, this area is dA1. The field is here, say here is B1, because here field and here field are not same in magnitude, magnitude changes, here field is weaker, here it is stronger. So B1 dA plus B2 dA, you can take another point, field is B2, then B2 dot dA2 plus that is summation of is equal to summation of all Bi dot Di, correct? So where all stands for the summation all over the area element, that is total area, dA1, dA2, dI2, that is Di, correct? Total area over all area elements Di, and the Bi is the field, is the magnetic field at the area element Di. Thus SI unit of magnetic flux phi V is Weber, WB is the symbol. The Weber is equal to Tesla into meter square. We know that Tesla is the Weber per meter square. Dimension of phi is equal to B into A, B A, that is B is the magnetic field. We know that magnetic field is equal to, that is force exerted by the charged particle moving with the velocity v in the magnetic field is given by qvb sin theta. qvb sin theta, that is B is equal to F upon qv sin theta into area A. Now the dimension of F, that is kg meter per second square, that is mLt minus 2. This charge q is coulomb, velocity is meter per second, that is Lt minus 1 into area, that is L square. Now C upon T minus 1 coulomb per second, that is ampere. So we can write ampere, and L cut. So mLt minus 2 or L2, you can take the plus power first, mL2 T minus 2. Phi is equal to mL square A minus 1 T minus 2. These are the dimensions of flux phi. This is A for, not area, ampere, A for ampere. Now Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. There are three laws, first law, second law and third law for direction. The first law is just a definition of electromagnetic induction. So whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux linked with the circuit, an induced EMF and hence current is induced, which lasts so long as the current change takes place. In order to produce the EMF, there should be a change in the magnetic flux linked with the circuit. There is magnetic field lines linked with the circuit should be changed. So here just in the figure, if you take the magnet and the coil, this is the Faraday's experiment. He produced the electricity by magnet and the coil. Actually, he was doing some experiment with electricity, and out of the frustration, he threw a magnet that ultimately fell into the coil which was connected with the galvanometer, and galvanometer showed momentary deflection. From this, he started experiment, and he shown that if magnet is moved towards the coil, correct, the current is produced. That is, it is produced due to the relative motion of magnet and the coil. If there is no motion, no induced EMF is generated. So if magnet is at rest and coil is at rest, then no induced EMF will be generated, because number of lines of force will be fixed. Whatever number of lines of force cut with this circuit, that will be the fixed. So there is no change in the flux phi. Phi is the number of lines threading normally to the area. Now, if magnet is moved, then it shows the deflection suppose in one direction. If magnet is withdrawn, that is, it moves away, again there will be induced EMF. Whether you move the magnet towards the coil or move away from the coil. It is immaterial that instead of magnet, if you move the coil towards the magnet, then also there will be a change in the magnetic lines of force linked with the circuit, cut with the circuit. Or if you move away this coil, then also there will be a change, correct? Another one point, when you move the coil, suppose you move the magnet toward the coil, that is north pole of the magnet is moved toward the coil, then it will induce a north pole this side. That is, if it opposes the very cause producing it, that is called the Lenz law. We will see later on, correct? So let us see the second law. The first law is that whenever there is a change in the magnetic flux linked with the circuit, and induced EMF and hence current is induced, which lasts so long as change takes place. So there should be a change in the magnetic flux linked with the circuit. If there is no change, no induced EMF is generated. The second law, what is the magnitude of the induced EMF? That is equal to the rate of change of flux. The magnitude of the induced EMF is equal to the rate of change of magnetic flux linked with the closed circuit. The mathematically, the induced EMF is given by the E induced EMF is equal to minus d phi by dt. Minus sign, that is, it is the opposite, it opposes very cause producing. The negative sign indicates that the direction of E and hence the direction of the current, induced EMF is generated, so induced current is also produced, because current is due to the EMF. The direction of the current is in a closed loop. If coil consists of n tightly wound, suppose coil has n turns, then EMF is equal to n times, correct, n d phi by dt. Then the EMF developed is n d phi by dt. Third law, Lenz law, that gives the direction. It states that the direction of the induced current is such that it opposes the cause which produces it. So, when you move the north pole toward the coil, it tries to decrease the flux, opposes the flux, correct. If you withdraw that is move away from that, then flux will decrease. So, will it will tend to decrease the flux, correct. So, it opposes where it cause producing it. Here, instead of the magnet, you can use the another coil which is connected to the battery. So, when you pass the current in this and move this coil, correct, either C2 or C1 coil, then there will be induced EMF. If you move the coil towards this C2 towards the C1, if galvanometer shows the deflection towards the left, if you withdraw, it will show the deflection towards the right. So, there will be a change in the direction of deflection of the galvanometer, that is due to the change in the direction of current. Example 6.1 on page number 208. Consider the experiment 6.2a. 6.2. Number 1 A. What would you do to obtain a large deflection of the galvanometer? Second, how would you demonstrate the presence of an induced current in the absence of a galvanometer? Let us see with the galvanometer circuit. This is coil C1. I have shown only one turn. You can take number of more turns also. This is a C2 coil which is connected with the battery, correct. Battery B, you can say B for battery to provide the current. The magnetic field is produced in the coil. Now, we want to increase the magnetic field. How can we increase? By inserting a soft iron rod. If we increase the soft iron rod in the solenoid coil, you know, a coil of many turns, the field will become 1,000-fold. So, it will become more powerful. So, more flux will be there. So, flux is more, then induced EMF and hence current will be more. We know that induced EMF is given by N d phi by dt. So, flux will be more, then the flux linked with the circuit C1 is more, the induced EMF and hence current will be more. Second, if you use a more powerful battery, the more current will flow and that will increase the magnetic field, which is given by the solenoid, that is mu 0 N I, we know, correct. The third, that is, if you want to increase current, move the C2 coil speedily. If you move with a more speed, correct, the rate of change will be more, that is dt will decrease for the same change of flux, that is d phi by dt, that ratio will be more. So, again induced EMF and current will be more. Next part, how would you demonstrate the presence of an induced current in the absence of galvanometer? Suppose galvanometer is removed, you want to check, you use the torch bulb, you can use the torch bulb. It will glow, that indicates it will glow brightly. If you move rapidly, it will glow brightly. That says or that represents or presence of the electric current in the second coil, that is C1 coil. Next, 6.2 on page number 208 and 209. A square loop of side 10 centimeter and resistance 0.5 ohm is placed vertically in the east-west plane. A uniform magnetic field of 0.1 Tesla is set up across the plane in the direction northeast, that is 45 degree with the normal to the plane. The magnetic field is decreased to 0 in 0.7 second at the steady rate. Determine the magnitude of induced EMF E and the current during this time interval. We know that angle between these two, the plane is that is in the east-west. This is east-west, correct, and this is a north-south. The magnetic field is northeast, this is northeast, that is angle is 45 degree. The magnetic field direction is east-west and magnetic field is northeast, that is at 45 degree with the normal to the plane. The plane is in the east-west. So, angle is 45 and cos 45 is, that is 1 upon under root 2. The phi b is equal to, we know, BA cos theta, and that is 0.1 into 10 raised to minus 12, theta is 45, the 45, that is 1 upon under root 2, cos 45 is 1 upon under root 2. Therefore, E induced EMF is d phi by d phi b upon dt, that is final flux phi minus 0, initial flux is 0 upon time, time is 0.7 second, that is rate of change of flux is equal to induced EMF according to second law of Faraday, Michael Faraday, the greatest British experimenter who invented produced electricity first by magnet and the coil only. The EMF is equal to, this is 10 raised to minus 3 upon under root 2 into 0.7, that is 1 microampere. This almost under root 2 is 1.7, the product of 1.7 and 0.7 is almost round about 1. So, this ratio will be 10 raised to minus 3, this is equal to 1 almost, correct. So, 10 raised to minus 3 volt, that is equal to 1 millivolt. So, EMF induced is 1 millivolt. Let us see the current induced. The EMF induced is first, then current is induced later on. The current is due to the EMF induced by the induction. The magnitude of the current is I is equal to EMF upon resistance. That EMF is 10 raised to minus 3 volt upon resistance is 0.5 ohm, that is 2 milliampere. Note that the earth's magnetic field also produces flux through the loop, but it is steady field which does not change. Steady field that wants any change in the EMF generated, because there is rate of change of flux will be 0. It is a steady field. There is no change in the flux. It is a constant flux. Correct? So, there should be a change in the magnetic flux with the time. So, earth magnetic field for that, during that time, it won't change. It changes for a long time, but it is a steady field which does not change with the time span of the experiment, that, and hence does not induce any EMF. So, we have not considered that the EMF induced due to the magnetic field of the earth. Next, 6.3 example is a sole example, 2.0 on page number 209. A circular coil of radius 10 centimeter and 500 turns and resistance 2 ohm is placed within its plane perpendicular to the horizontal component of the earth's magnetic field. It is rotated about the vertical diameter through 180 degree in 0.25 seconds. And this is rotated through 185. The orientation changes, then flux will also change. It will induce the EMF. Estimate the magnitudes of the EMF and the current induced in the coil. The horizontal given, the horizontal component of the earth's magnetic field is at the place is 3 into 10 raised to minus 5 Tesla or 0.3 Gauss, you can say. Let phi 1 and phi 2 are the initial and the final flux of the coil respectively, and we know the initial flux phi 1 is equal to BA cos theta, that is equal to magnetic field of the earth's magnetic field is 3 into 10 raised to minus 5 Tesla, area of the coil is pi r square, correct, radius is 10 centimeter into cos 0, that is initially it is in the earth's magnetic field direction. So, angle is 0. So, 3 pi into 10 raised to minus 7 Weber. The final flux phi 2 after rotation, it is rotated at angle 180. The phi 2 is equal to BA cos 180, that is 3 into 10 raised to minus 5 into pi into 10 raised to this area into 180, that is cos 180 is minus 1. And so, phi 2 is equal to minus 3 pi into 10 raised to minus minus 7 Weber. Now, change in the flux is the final flux phi 2 minus phi 1. The phi 2 minus phi 1 is equal to d phi, that is minus will be plus, that is minus 3 pi into this one, that is d phi is equal to minus 6 pi into 10 raised to power minus 7 Weber. Now, induced EMF is equal to minus n d phi by dt, minus, that is it opposes the very cause that produces according to Lenz's law, it is a minus. So, d phi is minus 6 pi Weber and dt is, this changes 6 pi Weber flux changes in 0.57. So, rate of change of flux d phi. Therefore, EMF is equal to minus n d phi by dt. Number of turns n is 500 and d phi by dt is, d phi is 6 pi into 10 raised to minus 7, 6 pi into 6 pi into 10 raised to minus 7 Weber upon 0.25 second, that is time dt. Therefore, EMF in this is equal to this one, 3.8 into 10 raised to minus 3 watt. You can calculate this pi into 6, that is 3000. So power will be, you edited it, and pi is 3.14 into, that is 3. You calculate, that comes upon 2.25. That comes about 3.8 into 10 raised to minus 3 watt. You can calculate, being a 12th class student. Therefore, current I is equal to EMF E upon R resistance. That is, EMF is already we have calculated. That is 3.8 into 10 raised to minus 3 volt upon resistance is 2 ohm. That comes about 1.9 into 10 raised to minus 3 ampere or 1.9 milliampere.